doesn't. I'm going to say, it's not what makes me jump in the morning, from the bed, like a missile, like. Okay, one day maybe we'll come back to life. Okay, so I'll say Modani today. Come on, It still makes sense, but it's half dead. So how chassidus brings life to it, to that explanation. So chassidus, one of the things that are mentioned a lot and explained a lot in chassidus, is the concept that not only that Hashem does bring aspects to life in the morning, but it's more than that, and it's constantly that Hashem makes us from nothing. Constantly. Yesh me'ayin, ex nihilo. Hashem is constantly makes us to be from absolutely nothing. We have nothing to hold on. Our existence is absolutely a direct action of Hashem. That's the only reason why we exist. And chassidus instills this in us and explains it so well that more or less, and it not necessarily in one day, but eventually we become so consumed with that understanding and that realization and that acknowledgement that not only we say Modani in the morning like we came back from the dead, but we say Modani like this is what, like we hear, what I'm saying? It's the essence of our being. It's the essence of our being. We don't just say Modani to Hashem because He gave us back the neshama, and we know that even if we don't say Modani, He will give back to our soul. It doesn't matter if it stands on our heads, it's gonna, He gives back the soul, He does it to everybody. So what? I say Modani, I don't say Modani. So what? We say when we realize that Hashem makes us from nothing to something, constantly. The Modani comes from the lungs, from the bottom of our lungs, from the bottom of our consciousness. Realize we are absolutely dependent on Hashem. It's more than the resurrection. It's more than Tchias HaMeisim. Because Tchias HaMeisim, there is still a bone that Hashem, it's more than sleeping and waking up, and also sleeping and waking up. It's we were sleeping and we woke up. It's also something, but the fact that Hashem makes us to be from absolutely nothing into being, and it's constantly. It's all the time. If we want to measure it by time, it's not measured even by time. It's more than that. But maybe using time, through time. We get to the Kabbalah explanation. We'll see. But so anyway, we put it in short. But that's what chassidus adds a new dimension to that explanation. Chassidus bring us to the realization that we are becoming from nothing to something, and when you have that in you, and when you walk around and feel that everything becomes yesh me'ayin, becomes something from nothing, then your Moida Ani comes from a whole different depth. It brings a new depth and life to that explanation, to that Moida Ani. Of course, we can bring more on that and everything, but let's move on. Drash. What is the Drash explanation of the Moida Ani? Drash is when what does it mean, Drash, by the way? Midrash, what does it mean? Drash is when Pshat is superficial, relatively. Even in the Pshat, people can make mistakes because they don't even pay attention to what is in front of them. We have to have some kind of being on the ground to see what is really going on. But still, Pshat is a superficial level. It's more like, it's something on the ground. Remez is already a hint to something else. So maybe you'll see the Pshat, but you don't see the hints. You don't pick up the hints. Drash, there is a disagreement, by the way, what is higher, Drash or Remez? And it seems like Chassidus always says that Drash is higher than Remez. So let's leave it to that. But either way, Remez is the hints. So when you read Torah, you can read Torah according to the Pshat. That's what happened. Pshat. And then there are hints in the Torah. Hints. You pick up hints. It's inner. And then drash, what does it mean, drash? It means that you're not just picking up hints, you're seeking, you're looking to get more out of it. You're not passive, you're active. You're looking to know more. Okay? For example, you know the Midrash, for example, in Parshas Vayeshev, you know, so you can read that Yosef told his brothers and his father the story, and then he says that his father kept it. So you can read the Pshat, and it says, the father remembered that, that's all. But you can look for more, and you see it in the words, and you can see what does it mean, what is it that his father kept, and how, you know. And his father, basically, the Rashi, what he says there, over there, the Rashi is a lot of it from the Midrashim. Rashi says that he only kept it, but he didn't. But what he said to the brothers was different. He said to them, "Oh, it can't make sense because he says that his mother is going to bow to him, and his mother is already died. So how could that be?" But really, he did believe in that himself. So you look closer and you look to see why you use that word. You could have used another word, but that would mean different. Midrash is when you look for more information. It's all there. It's all in the Torah. But you look for more. You spend more time, you're delaying more, so you get more. And then the end purpose of looking for more in the Torah is to bring out the halacha. Meaning you want to learn something. So, okay, so now let's go back to our example from Moedani and see. What is the Midrash of Moedani? The Midrash says that even though we're not perfect, and we owe Hashem, but Hashem nevertheless gives our back our soul again and again and again. And why? Because Rabba emunatecha. Because it's a leap of faith on Hashem's part in us. Hashem doesn't say, okay, let's see. No, Hashem says, I believe in you. And I believe in you, and I believe in you, and I have faith in you, and I trust. And that's kind of how we feel. It's a deeper thing in Moedani, but that's also, we can relate to that, you know, when you wake up in the morning and you say, wait, and you're thinking about it for a second, and you say, wait, Hashem just gave me another chance. And you feel like, wow, Hashem believes in me. So that's the drash. What is the halacha that we learn from it? The halacha is that if you lend someone money and you didn't take collateral or deposit or anything, and then, or you happen to have a debt that someone owes you. Now you have nothing in your hands, so human nature is that you're a bit worried. Okay, I want my money back. And then, doesn't matter how it came to be, but that person happened to maybe even give it to you a deposit of something, or somehow something of his came to you. So human nature is, you want it? Give me back my money. That's human nature. Well, I'm just going to give it to you, yes, it's yours, but I have something of myself by you. And the halacha says, we learn from the fact that Hashem gives us back our soul, we learn that give him the deposit. It's a mitzvah. Don't make a condition. Give him the deposit. The same way Hashem gives us back our soul and doesn't make those conditions, give him that deposit. And it's a leap of faith. Give him back the deposit. It's a mitzvah. That's what Hashem wants. Forget about, I know how you feel and I know how you think, and it doesn't make sense to give back. But that's the halacha. And we learn it from this. That Hashem doesn't make terms. He gives back the soul.
Then why do you give it in the first place?
What?
Then why do you give it in the first place? If you're going to get it back anyway. Like, you're giving somebody something.
Yes.
Because you owe them something. And then they ask for it back, even though they didn't pay you back.
Yeah. That's not your problem. We're not talking about about the side of the one that takes. It doesn't matter. Like I said, it came to him because I don't know. There was a problem in the mail, and it came to your box and not that box. And then you're saying, okay, I'll let him know, but I don't give it back to him. Now I have something to hold. I don't know. It doesn't matter right now.
Oh, okay, I understand.
It doesn't matter right now how it came to you. We're talking about that person.
Faith.
We're talking about
Leap of faith.
yeah. We're talking about that leap of faith that we do because Hashem does the same thing for us. That's good. Maybe Hashem is testing you. That's it. But anyway, human nature is not to give it back. So in other words, that's the midrash. That's the drash of Moedei Ani. That Hashem every day he expresses faith in us. And therefore, as a result of that, we remind ourselves, or say Moedei Ani, that we should also put our faith, give more faith to people around us. Okay? Generally speaking. What chassidus adds to that? So, again, let's criticize that explanation. After all, even a God-fearing person that learns this halacha and keeps it, it's never perfect. Because, yes, even if we put faith in people from the right reasons, meaning because we believe in Hashem, and we see how Hashem puts faith in us, gives faith in us, so we give more, benefit of the doubt or whatever to other people as well. We give more, space and breath to the people around us. But it's never our nature. It's against human nature. If someone owes me money and I have something of his, it's against human nature to give it back to him. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So even if I'm a God-fearing person, like we said earlier about Moedei Ani, I have to say Moedei Ani, I'll say Moedei Ani. But don't tell me that it comes from me. It doesn't come from me, never. It doesn't make sense to give back that deposit. It's not for me. You're saying I have to do it, fine. But human nature resists it. Human nature doesn't accept that. So chassidus adds to it, chassidus elevates us to be divine and to do this mitzvah with absolutely joy and choice and mamash. It comes from me. How? Because chassidus, one of the things that chassidus explains is that even the mitzvot that we keep, because even those mitzvot that we keep and they make a lot of sense, they make perfect sense, but we still don't keep them because of the sense they make. We keep mitzvot because it's Hashem's will. That's why we keep mitzvot. Does that mean if something makes sense, we should say, no, doesn't make sense? No, it does make sense. And when something does make sense, we're supposed to use it to help us to do the mitzvot. Okay? But after all, it's just, it helps to do the mitzvot. It's completing the mitzvot. Hashem himself says to us in the Torah that if something makes sense, use it. Use that sense. Don't reject it. Don't say, I'm a divine person, I hate sense. No, don't say that. Okay? It makes sense, use it, take it. But you never do it because of the sense it makes. We do mitzvot because that's Hashem's will. So that's chassidus explanation, that chassidus enlightenment makes us divine. And a person that is that concept got into him because of chassidus. So now, so now he has that deposit, and and someone comes and says, give back my deposit. Please give my deposit. Of course. Why? Of course. Because it's a mitzvah. But it doesn't make sense. So what? Sense is not. It's not a motive for me. That's not my motivation to do anything in life. Because it makes sense or it doesn't make sense. I do because that's what Hashem wants. That's Hashem's will. Now, it's not just the way it sounds, it's even better, because it's not just like, oh, there's Hashem and there's me, and Hashem wants and I don't want. It becomes you. We basically become divine. Hashem's will becomes our will. The black, why Hashem's will does not become our will? Because we are human. Because we stick to our humanity. Because we are stick to our sense. If it doesn't make sense, can't be. Because it doesn't make sense. The reality is, a lot of things are happening all the time, which doesn't make sense. So what is stopping us? What is the problem? The problem is that, let's put it in a positive way. Chassidus adds to us that explanation, that dimension. Chassidus teaches us, and maybe again it's not in one sentence, but Chassidus ultimately connects us and everything we do and everything there is to a level that is above our sense and above our intellect. So what happens eventually is that sense is not a blockage in a way. And then, because sense is not anymore a bother for us, then we relate to Hashem's will in a natural way. In other words, because Hashem wants us to give it back to Him, so deep inside, that's exactly what we want to do. We want to give back to them. But because we have sense, and sense is so strong in our existence, we just can't let ourselves do it. We want to give it back to Him. But then we know that everybody around us are going to say, what are you, crazy? What are you, stupid? So we don't give back. Our sense is so strong, it's so powerful, it's so effective, it's so affecting our lives, that the fact that we want to do what Hashem wants, and that's what we want to do by nature. That's our nature. We are divine by nature. It's blocked. So Chassidus helps us to unleash, to reveal the truth that we are divine. That if Hashem wants it, we want it right away. That's our will. Hashem's will is our will. It's instilled in us. But Chassidus really brings it out. So again, let's look at it now. Without Chassidus, a person will say Moedeani even, and saying to himself, Hashem give back my soul, so I'll put more faith in people. But in reality, he says, come on, I don't want to put more faith in anybody. It can never be your nature. So again, it's not life itself. It becomes like, okay, I'll do it, but it's not my life. But the way Chassidus adds, what Chassidus adds, it becomes your life. You do mitzvot, and you say Moedeani with full, you identify with it fully. Okay, he says, Hashem has his faith in me, and it conquers you completely. And it simply becomes how you act and how you live. It becomes your life. It becomes life itself. To put faith. To have a life of faith. Be'pol mamish. Becomes life itself. Not just something that it's like an additional to your life, but not natural. And of course, it's just an example for all of the mitzvot, for everything. We're just using it as an example. Then, what is the sword, the Kabbalah of Moedeani? So, we explain what Pshat, Remez, Drash. What is Kabbalah? Bichlal, what is it? Kabbalah is basically... Kabbalah has an understatement that says like this. Kabbalah says that the whole world, and actually all of the worlds and all of the existence, it's Hashem's home. And Hashem himself, he's in his home. So now what? So now what are we doing here? So according to Kabbalah, our job is to say, that is the leg of Hashem. That is Hashem's crown. That's Hashem's hat. That's Hashem's hat on winter days. That's Hashem's umbrella on sunny days. You know? That's our job. That's the Kabbalah language. So, that's Malchus. That's Yesod. Okay? That's Keter. So you make sense. It's a secret. It's a secret. You basically you're finding that the whole reality is actually a divine context, and your job is to see things in their context. That's a Kabbalistic way of life. Okay, that's the Kabbalah way. It's the truth about things, because everything is divine, but it's all different aspects. So that is that aspect, and that is that aspect, and that is that aspect. That's Kabbalah. So now we understand what Kabbalah is. So what is Moedeani? According to Kabbalah, Moedeani, it says like this: Moedeani lefanecha, melech chai v'kayam. Who do we thank for? We thank for melech chai v'kayam. For what? Shechezarta bi nishmati, that you gave me back my soul. So in other words, our soul comes from melech chai v'kayam. Melech chai v'kayam, Kabbalistically, it's a code. Because you can refer to Hashem in many different ways. You can say, my father. Why didn't you say my father? Why do you say melech, king? Because we get our soul from Hashem, from that aspect in the divine that is called melech chai v'kayam, which is basically, melech is malchut, the sphere of malchut, and chai v'kayam together is the level of yesod. So our soul comes back to us from the aspect, from the divine aspect of the unity of malchut and yesod together. That's the Kabbalistic explanation of Moedeani.
Chai v'kayam is yesod?
Yes.
How?
Now, if you're not thinking in Kabbalistic terms, you would say, oh, okay, no, that's it. So, but then the Kabbalah will tell you, yes, it's not enough for you. Because if you think in Kabbalistic terms, all that you care about is to find that aspect in the divine to fix it up for you. Okay, fixed. Listen, it does a lot. So because
Can you explain it though?
wait,
Okay.
chassidus explain it. It's not me. One of the things, or maybe the most famous thing that we know about chassidus, that is famous about chassidus, is that chassidus explains Kabbalah. One of the things is the chassidus explains that. But the truth is not only Kabbalah. Chassidus explains everything and brings new dimension to everything. But it's more famous for Kabbalah because Kabbalah was really, Kabbalah was really out of our reach before chassidus. For most of the people, it didn't make any use. It didn't make any, not sense, but just, so what? Like, I don't understand what you say. What are you trying to say? You know, it's like, and they move on. Like, they continue to the next thing, and you're like, what? It's like, you can read tons of these analogies, or then analysis. Oh, that come from Malchus. That cat. Oh, you get tired, and nothing come out of it. But for those Kabbalistic people, they really see what they're talking about. There is a story. Reb Shmuel Munkes, the chassid of the Alter Rebbe also. And one time he went on the train for the Alter Rebbe, and he met on the train a person. They started to discuss things, and he realized that this person think of himself that he's a big mekubal, he's a big Kabbalah person. So and Reb Shmuel Munkes was a joker. He was very deep, but he realized that this person is just lives in imaginations. He's imagining things.
He's not really
right. He doesn't know anything about. He thinks he knows so much about Kabbalah. He doesn't know. He thinks he knows. But if he's going to tell it to him, it's not going to help. It's like you don't know anything. I know more than you. Well, you're going to fight with him. So he did something very smart. What he did was he said, good thing I meet you. What is it? Oh, I left a detail out. He realized in the conversation that this person thinks so highly of himself that he's actually, the reason why he's on this train is because he wants to also go to the Alter Rebbe, but he wants to check him out. He's like, he feels that he's the one, he can check the Alter Rebbe, who is, he's more. So, okay, he saw who he's dealing with, so he's like, oh, that's very good I met you. I just read in a certain Kabbalah book, which I don't even remember which book it was, something, and maybe you can help. So he says, okay, bring it on. So he says to him, he started to describe to him, he says, points and dots and lines and this and that, and Malchus and Keter and this and that. So, okay. So this guy is like, sounds very deep, like, and he's like, he's trying, and no, it's not it. So he says to him, you know what? If the Alter Rebbe will be able to answer it, so then the Alter Rebbe will someone special. So then this guy went to the Alter Rebbe and also to Yechidus and everything, and he asked him that question. Among the things that he checked him out, so he asked him this question as well. So the Alter Rebbe heard this question, started to laugh. So he's saying, tell me, is it Shmuel Munkes told you that? He said, yes. How do you know? So he laughed. He says, basically what he did to you is that he described a bagel. But he made it like Kabbalah, he used Kabbalistic terms that he confused you completely, but he really described it as bagel. So he made fun of you, basically. But the thing is that the Alter Rebbe could understand that. And then, So meaning what I'm saying is that for those that really are truly, Kabbalistic, so those Kabbalistic terms, they make sense. For them, it's in a certain context. It's like medicine, this doctor, he says to you, and you don't know what he's saying. But for him, of course, he knows hopefully he knows what he's saying. So what is the explanation of that? How chassidus, not only the chassidus explain it, but we didn't say it in the beginning, but one of the things that it says about chassidus is that chassidus made something amazing, that we don't have to be holy or special or have special abilities to understand, like Kabbalah, for example, or even Pshat. Sometimes you have to have a certain ability to understand things in the way they really are, because sometimes it's not simple as it looks, and sometimes we think, oh, that's what happened, and you look back and you go, oh, that's not what happened. Many times, misunderstandings and things like that. So Chassidus made it possible for us, for every person, that even is not so holy, whatever, is not so tzaddik, whatever, is not so smart even, to be able to understand the highest everything, every concept. How? Because Chassidus is using analogies from our lives, from our daily lives, from our selves. So we don't have to be so special. Everybody can understand. So now, what is the Chassidus edition, and which changes everything, which transforms everything here in this Kabbalah explanation of Modi'ani? Again, it's not like we're gonna wake up in the morning and say, "Oh, it's Malchus and Yesod." We jump from bed, right? So how Chassidus can take this kind of a dry fruit over here and make it filled with sugar? So Malchus, Chassidus explains that basically in order to understand it, we have to understand, Chassidus explain what is Malchus, what is Yesod, and what does it mean that Malchus and Yesod together. So Malchus is finite. Malchus is everything we can define. Okay? Malchus is the root, is the source of the creation. Is the channel that Hashem is using to make everything to be. Yesh me'ain, what we spoke about, yesh me'ain, something from nothing. It has to go through Malchus. Malchus is a method of making something from nothing. It has to walk through this. Malchus is the vessel, is the way to make things from nothing. Okay, so that's Malchus. What is Yesod? Yesod is infinite. If Malchus is finite, Yesod is infinite. Now, just give an example. This table, for example. This table is finite. It has certain measurements. Now let's imagine that this table had no limitations. It would be